Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is level 2, the second half of the recording for March 8th, Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, where I'm giving the actual dance steps as to how to dance like Flying Rainbow Lasagna. So I'm also doing kind of a mishmash, mix-up of level 1 and level 2, a beginning and advanced materials today, because this is just what we need to do. I can't just make it in the way that I usually do, bifurcated in a very easy way. All of these concepts are feeding into one another. So I'm just saying, let's just make it one big, long, one-room schoolhouse recording. So Tim says right over here, it seems to me that this is the key to telepathy. Am I on the right track? Connecting with each other's DNA on a cellular level. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes. In level 1, I used the example of what is real compassion. Real compassion is a resonance of the heart. And the heart is not romantic partnership. This is not, when you have real compassion, like I'm not saying that I want to marry a palm tree outside of my window and have babies with it. That is not romantic mammalian love. It is unconditional love. So when I practice compassion, and I do it with the animals and plants around me, I'm like, what does it feel like to be that tree? What I am sending out from my unconditional love, the tone that I'm making is affecting that tree, and that tree, what it is sending out is affecting me. And this is this amazing symphony that we are part of. From my experience so far in this time and place, I've found it has been easier for me to connect with plants and animals and microbes and even dogs and cats, because humans have this pesky ego that is the anthropomorphic barrier that has been preventing us from either connecting effectively with each other or with our context. That this ego says, I'm separate from my environment. I joke, I'm looking out for number 1, right? I only have to care about what's inside of my epidermis. I don't have to care about all of you. You can all go be crazy, go all, jump off a cliff. It doesn't matter, you're not me. But when we start to reach higher levels of spiritual insight, we really recognize how profoundly interconnected we are. And that's the idea that my guitar strings and what I'm playing with my DNA is always doing its genetic Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, that I'm sending out emanations that are affecting other people. And they're receiving those emanations, they're being affected by it, and then they're reflecting that back to me. So real telepathy, a real bridge of consciousness, is done on a bridge of unconditional love. This is why I do not promote the idea of synthetic telepathy at all. Synthetic telepathy, that's like fake boobs. That's like you put on a magical headband that somehow augments your natural telepathy, and all of a sudden you can talk with people that are in far distant places that you couldn't talk with otherwise. That's not what you're supposed to be allowed to do. What you're supposed to do is do total self-cultivation, cultivating your ability to meditate, like your ability to be silent inside and control your verbalized mind. Cultivating plenty of unconditional love. That's like gas in the car that makes your car go. And thinking the appropriate thoughts. Because if you're going to put on a magical headband and talk to other people and your thoughts are pure crap, then it just means you're playing the worst music amplified on your guitar and then sending it out to everyone else. Everyone else is like, that music is crap and it's loud too. So you're not supposed, the worst musicians are not supposed to be amplified, but we're in this inverted realm right now where that's what we're experiencing. And it's because those musicians are not doing the self-cultivation. They're not doing the loving, like we would call it, how to get together enough unconditional love. It's like self-cultivation. It's accreting light. Accreting meaning to gather together, like, get more light inside of you. And the more light that you have inside of you, that's light. It's intelligence. It's the organizational principle. It informs you. Just like these are a map that informs you. What is the pattern? What you're supposed to say and do? What's the music theory? When you're a good musician, you think the right thoughts, and those thoughts, it's like being an opera singer. You don't have to be amplified. You don't have to have a microphone so that other people can hear you. You think your true thoughts and send out your true loving feelings, and other people can hear it and feel it, because all of our DNA is connected. Big takeaway. You're not just a disconnected individual, thing that's not affecting other people and other beings around here. You're profoundly connected to everything that's around here. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's what we're here for. We're here in this physical red realm, the manifestation realm, so that we can share thoughts and ideas and energy and forces that we cannot share in any of the other realms except up here, where we're connected at the source and at the destination. So in a realm of pure abstraction, yes, we're all connected to one another, but in all of these other realms, we don't connect in order to be able to share these ideas until we get a body. get a body, get a cellular structure and put your consciousness into it. And then you get to touch other people's bodies, share ideas with them through flapping of moving mouth parts, or through true, telepathy that connects mind to mind. Like, this is the value of being here. It's being in the band. You be in the band so that you can actually play music and share ideas with each other. So Flying Rainbow Lasagna, how does this, in level 1, I spoke about methylation and DNA and how it's like your genes are like a slinky. Sometimes the loops are tightly coiled up together. The RNA messengers can't get in there. Sometimes the loops are spread apart. The RNA messengers can easily read what's in the scrolls. And that the difference between these two states of being is in intellectual and emotional and spiritual energy or song that we're playing. So if someone gives you the program that says, you can't control your DNA, you can't control your health, if your mom and dad are sick, you're going to get the same diseases, it's just written in your genes, then that's going to affect the dance of your DNA. But if someone like Bruce Lipton, we mentioned him in level 1, comes along and says, hey, you're actually an empowered participant, you get to choose what your DNA behavior is, what level of health and vitality or disease you manifest. You get to choose in this generation what you would like to embody, as opposed to having to embody everything that came from your ancestors and from your mommy and your daddy. That's a big change. And so I'm here to share a new idea. First of all, even just looking at this sculpture and hearing the word Flying Rainbow Lasagna changes your DNA. That's why I invite people to the webinars. And it's why I say to people, like, it's an opportunity. I'll get to that question. It's an opportunity. It's not an obligation. And it's not ethical for me to force everyone to be the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. Like, if you want to do it, that's great. If you don't want to do it, that is equally great. But it also means that you don't get to be on stage and playing in the band. That's a big takeaway. Like, being on the stage, being part of the symphony of life is for trained musicians. And you can be a really crappy musician if you want to. But what that means is that you don't have longevity. That in order to have cellular longevity, I speak all the time about this new program. We don't have to go moving through chronological time, getting more decrepit as we move, and eventually hitting the membrane of death. The way that we avoid decrepitude is by playing the right music. If you play the right music, literally with your DNA, make your DNA vibrate in the right way and affect you, and your health and vitality vibrating in the right way affects others around you, literally. And I mean, I've experienced this. If you're surrounded by people that are all sick and their genes are all playing the notes of sickness, that reflects to you, and you are more likely to develop diseases than if you are surrounded by other people that also have health and vitality and that are moving in the direction of health and vitality. So that's the idea, that if you play the right music, follow the right notes, and that affects the shape of your time body is shaped in the right way, you're going in the right direction, then you get to experience longevity. This is like the basic, it's fair. I'm just rearranging my chair here. It's what I would consider to be very fair on a cosmic level. Like, you want to be alive, that's cool. You want to be in the band, that's cool. Play the right music. Play the right music and you get to be in the band. The band is the symphony of life. If you don't play the right music, you don't get to be alive. But again, synthetic telepathy, fake boobs, technological augmentation. There's a lot of people that are alive that shouldn't be alive. They're alive through technology, and they're able to continue to be active in the time field through technological augmentation, not through their natural vitality. So this is dark magic or satanic technology. It is the siphoning off of life force energy from those beings that are doing the right dance, and misapplication of that vital life force energy, like a vampire. This is why we have this myth of the vampire, someone who's evil and malevolent and who's technically dead, somehow staying in the time field as if they are alive by taking energy from those beings that are alive. So this is why I understood how perturbing it is when people think about their lives are not in their control, their trajectory is not in their control, because there have been these horrible vampires of energy, whatever, psychic vampires, spiritual vampires that have been siphoning energy off of you and I. We actually eat. Look, I wanted to show you guys. I got my delicious good smoothie. I'm not an advertiser. They don't sell these in the store. This is mango, banana, hemp milk, hemp seed, because it's got those good proteins in it, and then raw cannabis. This is part of like how you continue to play the right notes in reality, right? And then, we can think about all the things that you can eat and do that make your body go completely out of tune, that make you not continue to move through reality. A lot of white powdery drugs and pharmaceuticals and processed foods that do not make you go through reality. So this is, again, it's another big part of it. When you look at the behavior of genetic code, the behavior of how your DNA is dancing, a lot of that is in response to our environment, to what we're exposed to the food and the air and whatever medicines or pharmaceuticals you're exposed to and to other people's ideas. So let me draw pictures also, because, okay, this shape is created by the oscillation of this shape in a higher dimensional state. And that's what I drew that picture for you in level 1 with my very advanced high-tech piece of paper that showed you how, you know, we're twisting that membrane of death into the inside and the outside communicating with one another. And let me also just drink some water. What we're doing is rearranging the last moments of your life into the capacity to have eternal life. And I joke and I say, you know, you could take anything, like any arbitrary book, like a phone book or something like that, or a manual for a car. And if you have a pencil with an eraser, you can turn it into a masterpiece. You can erase out the things that you don't want, and you can write in or duplicate the things that you do want. And this is what Flying Rainbow Lasagna is. It is a way for us to transform our DNA and transform the behavior of our DNA. So last week, I also spoke about how your DNA is like a genetic sweater, that as you are moving through time, it's like creating loops, like knitting or crocheting those loops together. And then at the end of your life, you have the sweater of you that's put together in a different set of events. And what you can do with that superpositioning, some events from down here in this position with some events from up here in this position, like putting together a mashup of notes from one song. I like these notes from this song, but then I want these notes from this song, and putting them together into a new format, a new combination. How exactly do we do this? So first of all, intellectual ideas change, and new emotional opportunities and feelings change. I will get to that, and I like that description very much. Change your behavior of your DNA. So that's part of it, learning new ideas. And then this next part is how to actually do it. So I don't just sit around thinking thoughts about the Flying Rainbow Lasagna and that's how I do it. No, it's an embodied practice. So it's just like, sometimes I watch videos and I learn about music theory, but then I actually sit down at the piano and I actually play. And music is something that you experience and something that you are submerged within. It's not just something that's an intellectual exercise. This is the same thing with the dance of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. So how do I actually do it? And let me just drink a little bit of water, and then I'll be totally ready. Hold on. So one of the first things is sungazing, because I said, the energy to do this is based in compassion or unconditional love. And love is that tone that we make when we fly through time. So we get love and we give love when we do sun gazing. This, as I spoke about this last week, the sun and the stars, the stellar network, and that's my origin as a walk-in or as a galactic star person. That's where I came from. That's the consciousness collective that I came from. That is where actually where all of our consciousnesses come from. Your physical body that has running throughout its neurology the abstract energy of consciousness. This is the combination of matter and spirit, or matter and pure consciousness. The consciousness or the spirit is what is light. It comes from the stellar network, and that the light that we're let me drink more water. Wait. The light that we're being given in terms of consciousness and food, literal. This is solidified light. A banana tree had to sit underneath the sun for a whole year and make a bunch of bananas, and then one of them got to go to me and go into my tummy. That's a thought form. It's solidified light, that this is full of wonderful solidified light that I then get to put inside of my body of solidified light and have it be fuel for my journey. But I'm not just supposed to take in light. I'm also supposed to send out light. Supposed to send out light in the form of consciousness back to the sun and back to the source that is the one that emanated me. That's that idea of an unbroken circuit, or like a biofeedback loop. The sun's like, I'm going to send out this to you, and then you're going to send that back to me, and then I'm going to send this back to you. Like we are in a relationship, just like the musicians in a band and the band leader. You know, the composer, the conductor. It's like tap, tap, tap. Violins play. Oboes play. Drums play, and that's like the stellar network, and we're the musicians, and we're like, oh, the stellar network is telling me to play. It's time for me to do something. I better groove. And then you emit what you emit, and the band leader hears that, and then changes that might say, oh, change the tempo, or you softer over there, louder over there, like that. We're in that it is responsive. That's the whole idea. It's responsive. So all of this is supposed to be being connected to the source of love the whole time. So I not only get energy through drinking solidified banana, light in the form of a solidified banana, I also get energy by connecting directly to the stellar network. And the whole idea is that there's a limit to, I'm pointing to my tummy, so there's a limit to how many ounces of food your tummy can hold each day, and how much your intestines can absorb, information, energy from just that like mundane level. And that's not enough. In order to do these higher psychic practices and to do things like telepathy, it's not enough you can eat like 12 sticks of butter a day, and that's not going to be enough energy to be able to do this work. So that's one of the big things. In order to do this work, you need to be able to connect like a solar furnace, like a solar panel or something like that, to get more energy from the sun. Because by doing that, and that's how we were originally intended to be powered in this physical form, you can get a lot more energy without having to grind it all up with your teeth and then put it through the probiotic digestive system, and then like a steam engine, puff that energy out as kinetic energy. So the first thing, I'll tell you, like, how do I do my day? I get up and I brush my teeth and put on my clothes. I get out my pajamas and everything like that. And I got to take Cheeky for a walk. She needs exercise and everything. After we do all of that important stuff, what do? I eat some important good food. I drink a wonderful smoothie or something like that. And then I sun gaze. And I live in Southern California. I live here intentionally. I'm very lucky that I'm here, because when I lived in Woodstock, I did not get enough solar food from like November to March every year. It was very, very difficult to get through those times. And right now, I don't know if I have my little crystal here, but what I would do when I lived in darker climates that were less sunny is I would have a little crystal, like a quartz crystal or a Herkimer diamond, and I would place that outside in the sun to be like a battery pack that I could use on days when it was not very sunny. So even when I lived up in Humboldt, California, it was very dreary some of the time. I would always put my crystal outside when it was sunny. And then when I needed solar energy to do my Flying Rainbow Lasagna meditations and it wasn't a sunny day, sometimes I would put that crystal literally inside of my mouth and get that energy from stored up battery pack. Of course, there are some crystals it's safe to put in your mouth and some it's not safe to put in your mouth. So be certain, like quartz is inert, a Herkimer diamond is inert. There are no, like trace minerals that you don't want to ingest in any of those. So just be certain that you use a crystal. When I was sharing this, someone was like, you got to watch out if you're telling people to put crystals in their mouth. So yeah, safe crystal eating, everyone, safe ingestion. So I sometimes put the crystal in my mouth if I need to. But here I live in a place where it's very consistently sunny, and I'm here intentionally. So the other thing is, sun gazing is not just like sunbathing. I love to sunbathe. I love to sit outside in my bikini and just have a relaxing time with drink with the umbrella. Yeah, Eric is saying Crystal Light. It's kind of funny. Like they have that drink that's called that. No, it's not just a relaxed, laying about in the sun. I sit with my spine erect. That's a big part of it, because the energy circuit involves all the chakras on your body, and your spine is part of it. And your higher faculties are part of it too. Your higher faculties, this is your attention, the tendril that you use to reach out, to attenuate towards something. So how do you sun gaze? So when I'm wearing a dress, I'm not going to do it in my little dress, but usually I sit with my legs crossed, like Indian style, or, like from the Far East. But you don't have to. You can sit comfortably in a chair. You can do it lying down. So in my bedroom here, the sun, when it's rising, if I leave my blinds open, it comes in at exactly the right angle, so I don't even have to get out of bed. When the sun comes in, it starts to come into my eyes. So you can do it lying down, but the key thing is like be in a comfortable body position. And then what you're going to do is breathe in and connect this. I feel like I should get a drawing so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Getting a drawing of what the chakras look like. So, okay, I've shown you this picture plenty of times before. So let's say this is the sun over here, and this is your attention right here, this dark blue. This dark blue, I hope you can see that showing up against a black background. That is your attention. It's literally like an elephant's trunk that reaches out. And what I do is I focus my attention on the sun so that all these wonderful food of light flows into me. And when it flows into me, it also flows through this entire energy field, water wheels, interlocking gears of my chakras, of the non-physical energy centers of my body. And it makes a circuit. It goes all the way through to my physical, and then it goes all the way back up. I hope you can see I'm doing this. And then I send it back to the sun. So we've got like a loop, you know, from the sun down to you, and then from you back to the sun. That's love. That's real love. So just to make it really clear, real love, I'm not talking about romantic partnership, even though romantic partnership can contain love when people are in a balanced, you know, healthy relationship. But in this time and place, I learned a lot of the time, romantic partnership is not unconditional love. It's not a balanced, healthy relationship. And this love that you can make with the sun and with the stars, it's not like having a boyfriend. It's not, because there's all of these expectations and quid pro quo and all these things that are in romantic partnership, and that's not that type of relationship. It is the relationship of unconditional love, of like the pure spiritual love, not the love of procreation or mammalian attraction. So this is not like saying you want to marry the sun. It's not like saying that you want to have a long veil, like wear a white dress and have a ceremony and you're married to the sun. It's not like that at all. It is, so Pedro is asking about the angle of the light, and I'll get to the other questions too. So here, some important things. What matters more than the physical light is connecting non-physically with your higher faculties to the sun. You can do this even on a cloudy day. You can do this even with your eyes closed. And I encourage everyone to practice safe sun gazing. That means don't burn out your physical eyeballs, your physical, you know, retinas by overloading them by staring directly at the sun. What I always do is either I wear a hat with a brim, or I will squint my eyes and use my eyelashes to kind of block it out. Or sometimes there's trees where you can kind of use the leaves of the trees to filter it out. Or if I'm inside, use the edge of the window, use the edge of your curtains. Don't burn out your physical eyes by staring directly at the sun, and you can get just as much of a meal even if your physical eyes are closed. And so what I'm doing when I make my spine erect, I focus my attention on the sun, and I do a couple of other crucial things. Place my tongue on the roof of my mouth. And for me, it's most comfortable if I do that like right behind my front teeth, but some people like to place it kind of like further back towards their soft palate. You find the way that feels comfortable to you. I'm not going to tell anyone how to do this with your own body, but that I found is an essential part of the connection. So if you put a crystal in your mouth, the crystal makes that bridge. If you don't put a crystal in your mouth, your tongue should make that bridge. And sometimes to me, it feels like, I don't know how to even describe it. Like the tongue is like it's curled up in a very compact way inside of my mouth. So I'm making that complete bridge of energy up and down through my mouth. And then when I connect with the sun, when I'm like, if it's like, you know, like a food, like I'm drinking a food and swallowing it down, I'm breathing in the food, because your nose and your sinuses, these are all connected to the higher faculties. So you've got your sinuses down here and your sinuses over here. And when you breathe in, that energy goes up your nose and into these cavities up here and circulates around. And so I do that. And then I also feel it coming down my throat. And I also feel it coming all the way down into my tummy. This is like below my belly button. And in the Far East, this is known as your hara, H-A-R-A, your hara. And so usually I will sit with my legs cross-legged if I'm not wearing a dress like today, and inhale the sun. And I feel it like filling up my body like I'm filling up a bowl. And I do it for several moments. I inhale again and again. Each time I inhale, I feel that energy rising up, like filling me up like I'm a chalice, like I'm a container. And it's filling up my entire chest. And I breathe it in again, and I'm filling it up again. And I can tell when I'm on target with my sun gazing, because internally with my inner eye, I see a literal bullseye, like a literal rainbow colored bullseye, and with violet at the middle, moving towards red and magenta at the edges. So that's how you can tell. It's like, how do I know I'm doing it? Like, how do I know the soup is actually going in my mouth? Like, you can tell the soup is actually going in your mouth when you see with your inner eye this beautiful rainbow type of, like a bullseye, and you're on target. And I fill up, fill up, fill up until I feel like going all the way up to here, until I feel like going all the way up to here. And then you can stay filled up. It's like holding your breath, but you don't literally have to hold your breath, but it's like, you know, staying inflated is a good word. It's like staying inflated. And then the final thing that I do is I make the connection with my body back to the sun. So I'll just get back to that image that we were using. Here, wait, this right here. The sun is over here. So I'm breathing in a bunch of energy. It's down here. It's all in my energy centers. I'm filling up, I'm filling up, I'm filling up, I'm filling up, I'm filling up. And the final thing, now I'm switching to a different color so you can see it a little bit better. The final thing that I do is I send that energy up through the top of my head and then back around through the back of my head and then back up to the sun. And what this is doing is creating almost an ankh-like shape. Right now I'm drawing a very crude ankh. This is, you know, from ancient Egypt. That you can kind of see, like, this is the lower portion of the body, and then this is this attention part of the body, and then this is this loop that we make. That is how it's a feeling. So just like with making music, music is a feeling. You can tell when you're grooving. You can tell when you, all of this, I use music as an analogy. It's like a dance, like music. You can tell, and I just need to do this, you can tell when you're on target. It's a feeling. And you can tell when you're full. Like, how do you know when your physical tummy is full? Like, you can tell, like, oh, my tummy is full. You can tell when you're full of light, and you can tell when you're ready to do this. It's like up through the top of my head, back in through the back of my head, and then back out through the front of my eye, again, reconnecting to the sun. And all of it, I would recommend everyone, you get better by practicing. And it's just like we're like in the stage of infancy. We've given birth. We're now in this new level of reality where the inside and the outside are communicative, and we're like little infants. Little infants, like their limbs flail all around. They don't know how to work their mouth. They don't know how to work their sphincters. They definitely don't know how to walk yet. I would say this is the level at which most of us as humans are. We are like little tiny infants, and we are learning how to control our non-physical bodies. Like, you might be an expert at being able to walk and talk with your physical structure, but how about with your non-physical structure, with your light body, with your body of pure consciousness? Because that's what we're doing. The big takeaway when I was on my walk today, I wanted to remember to tell everyone, the big difference between death and ascension, these are both transferring consciousness into non-physical, pure consciousness-based experiences, like the astral realm. Astral connected to stellar, and the idea that that is where you go as a thought form when you no longer have a physical body. But that is a distorted thought form. All of those pink circles that I drew in level 1 on the membranes of death, those are all thought forms that are your last moment, your final moment, but they are distorted thought forms that aren't the real you. And there's only one thought form that is the real you, that is the eternal version of you that continues onward through time, and that's what we're trying to embody. So I get my energy to do Flying Rainbow Lasagna by eating physical food and doing sun gazing. And when you do sun gazing, you'll feel it. Like, you'll feel like, wow, I feel so happy, calm, and peaceful. I feel so energized. I feel so vital. This is where I get the vitality for my cellular body. This is where I get energy for healing. This is where I get energy for ideas. Where do I get my energy? Where do I get these ideas from? I get them from sun gazing. And that's basically like how you get gas in your car to go. And where do I get energy for natural telepathy as opposed to synthetic telepathy? From sun gazing. How do I get energy to do the Flying Rainbow Lasagna? From sun gazing. So basically, it's like saying, like, if you want to shop at a store, you got to have enough money. How do you get money? By sun gazing. It's one of the most important things we can all do. And the other thing, like, it's not just about the sun, it's also about being connected to the earth. I don't think that I emphasized that enough in this depiction, but yeah, we're supposed to be a bridge, just like a tree. Your tree has roots that go down into the earth and also reach upward to the sun. We're supposed to be the same way. So part of this is also connecting your root chakra, or the base of your spine, to the earth. And after I do sun gazing, sometimes I feel it's necessary for me to either physically touch the ground with my feet or to go outside or even just touch the ground for a moment, like to discharge any extra energy that you might have accumulated. So yeah, we're supposed to be this conduit, this bridge between earth and the sky. So that's just like, this is a multi-level task here. You have to, take care of your physical body with physical food. Then you got to fill up your energy banks with light, with sun gazing. And then what's the next thing we do to Flying Rainbow Lasagna? I put on awesome music. So I don't have like a big giant sound system with speakers or whatever like that. And I live in a house and a neighborhood with other people around me. So I put on headphones, and I have good headphones that, like the kind that go inside of your ear, that it's really like you can listen to music in a very high quality way by doing this. So I like it because it makes it feel like I'm really like being surrounded by the music, and I can really turn it up. And I put on music that I find inspiring, that makes me feel like I want to do this dance. So I won't dictate to anyone what your music should be. You find the music that works for you. I do have plenty of playlists and things like that I could share with you. But some of the aspects of music that are key is it makes me feel like dancing. I use a lot of rock and roll because rock and roll has that kind of badass or rebellious attitude to it. And this Flying Rainbow Lasagna is a very badass thing to do. That literally, we don't need to have any external equipment. You're literally turning yourself into a super collider, or one of these like CERN type reality morphing machines. You're the quantum computer. This is what the big takeaway is. You don't need a $1 billion machine. You are the $1 billion machine. And so when all these other beings are trying to disempower you or keep you in a state of being unsure of your power or not claiming your power, it's very badass to be like, I'm going to dance like a Flying Rainbow Lasagna. Like, that's my response to all of this, pardon my French, all of this bullshit that is in the world, all of the degradation, all of the things that aren't fair, all of the inequity, the action of Flying Rainbow Lasagna is not a mere abstraction either. You're literally rearranging reality, and you're not just rearranging the cellular structure of your own body, you're rearranging events. So big takeaway, you can Flying Rainbow Lasagna with other versions of yourself through time, with other people in time, with other concepts. You can Flying Rainbow Lasagna your version of reality with a different version of reality in order to get splice in the necessary puzzle pieces to heal your personal situation. That's that whole thing that I was doing with the superpositioning of Flying Rainbow Lasagna. So we can superposition in many different positions, not just in up-down. I showed you up-down. That's just like saying I can play two notes, A and C. There's lots of other notes on the piano. We can superposition this way. We can superposition this way. We can superposition this way. We can superposition over and over and over. So those are the 4 basic movements. Just like you have 4 basic amino acids that make up all of the structure of your DNA, or you can have 4 notes in a chord. I start off with, in this teaching, 4 basic movements of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And I'll show you how it connects with your DNA too. But first, let me just show you the movements. The first one is an up-down, and then the next one is a side-to-side, and then the next one is an in-out. And then the last 2 are kind of like at diagonal angles, end over end. So this is a genetic placeholder. Now I'm going to get pictures and show you exactly what I'm talking about. I have about 20 more minutes, so I'm doing really good on being able to share all of this. And I'm open to questions, and I'll get to those questions in the chat. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. Boom, boom. And this one, and this one. Good. Okay. First, let's start off with, this is how DNA behaves in terms of RNA replication. In order to be able to, like I was saying in level 1, for the little RNA messenger to go inside of the special library of the nucleus of your cell and make a photocopy of your blueprint that it can then take out and make new stuff out of, what has to happen is your DNA that is twined together like a thread, like one piece of yarn, has to be split. So it becomes like a Y. Here's one part of the Y, and here's the part that branches outward, right? So we have this part that branches outward and this part that branches outward. And that's the key to understanding all of this, that you take something that is this line and turn it into a loop. We've got this loop over here. And the loop has inside of the middle, where I'm highlighting in black, this is all empty space. Empty space, empty space, empty space. But that empty space can actually be filled up with, here, clear everything up and go to the next picture, flying rainbow lasagna. Now we have, just a different way of depicting the same diagram where I've got the, this is a Y, here's this part of the Y, and here's the branches of the Y. And this is where we would have empty space, but instead of having empty space, what we have is a higher dimensional placeholder. This is an oscillation, something that's constantly jumping. It jumps, in this direction, and then it jumps away from you, and then it jumps back in this direction, then it jumps away from you again. So we've got this just in the same way that a tornado is created out of nothing more than the whirling and twirling motion of the atmosphere itself. So too is the flying rainbow lasagna here created. I'm drawing like a spiral with nothing more than the whirling and twirling motion of time, space, and consciousness. And if we didn't have the flying rainbow lasagna there, this would be an unsteady format. It could collapse. If you unzipped all of your genes and just held them open in these loops, that would not be a state of total health and vitality. You'd be like unmaking yourself. It would be like, you'd be disarranging all of the letters. You'd be disarranging all of the everything that gives you structure. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, my words don't always work. You'd be taking all of the structure out of your DNA, because this is time. This is your time body. It gives you structure in time. It doesn't just give you structure like what your bones and muscles are shaped like. It's the structure of your consciousness and what you are experiencing in time. You would die if you lost all of your structure. It would be like getting rid of the blueprint, and your molecules wouldn't know where to go and how to act. So we're not getting rid of your blueprint, but what we're doing is, when we have the DNA split up like this and it makes this kind of loop, it's a loop of possibility. It's a loop of indeterminacy. And we're holding that loop open with the flying rainbow lasagna as a genetic placeholder. So now I'm going to go back. Well, wait, I want to go back to me, but I also want to show you the last of these two images that I got together. So flying rainbow lasagna, we can do this any place in your DNA where there is a torus, and the torus, remember, is the, here we go, this donut shape. So if we've got a donut shape like this, we can flying rainbow lasagna it up and down like this, and makes the flying rainbow lasagna shape. So at a certain point in supercoiling, what is supercoiling? Oh my goodness, I know I'm jumping around a lot. I gotta show you another picture. What is supercoiling? Supercoiling is what happens when we begin to take the chromatin or unfurled yarn of your DNA and twist and twist and twist and twist it until it starts to create the chromosome structure. So this is an actual scanning electron microscope image of the very beginning of supercoiling. It's like taking a thread and twisting and twisting and twisting it until it starts to twist back on itself and it starts to make these loops. And the more that you twist it, the more that it makes these complex loops. And the more that it makes complex loops, the more that it eventually twists itself into the chromosome shape that is either an X or a Y shape that we are very familiar with. So at a certain point in the level of supercoiling, what we end up having are many, many donuts on a side. I'm drawing, these are like, you can tell that they're donuts, but these are really hastily drawn. But what we end up having is many, many genetic donuts placed next to each other like that. And what we can do is vibrate the whole entire structure in this direction and then in this direction. And the end result makes, what ends up happening is we end up getting all these wonderful flying rainbow lasagnas here. Well, I don't know if you can see that as a contrasting color. I use this. Beautiful flying rainbow lasagnas that end up being like this within one chromosome. And you can see, even though I'm drawing this very hastily and very sloppily, how we start to have these areas of overlapping. Like I'll highlight in yellow, here's an area of overlapping. Two different realities are overlapping. Two different realities are overlapping. More realities are overlapping. So once again, this is just like making a genetic mashup. If we take one song that I really like, the way that hip hop music will do this, they'll say, here's some of a song, and then now I'm going to splice in another little bit of a song that you're familiar with. It could be, I'm going to play something from the Beastie Boys, and then I'm going to splice in a little bit of Mozart. Then I'm going to go back to the Beastie Boys. This is what you can do with aspects of reality. potential for reality, events of reality, not just the shape of your face, but what are you doing in that time and place on that day? What is your face doing? What is your digestion doing? What is your body doing in that moment of that day? That you can splice in some aspects of that with some aspects of who you would have been on a different neighboring timeline, or who you would have been in deep antiquity, or who you will be in the future. And that flying rainbow lasagna dance doesn't just happen within your own life or within your own life structure. You can flying rainbow lasagna with other people. I do the flying rainbow lasagna dance with other people every freaking day. It's part of my practice. It's what I do. It's like saying I play with the rest of the band. So I flying rainbow lasagna with other plants and animals and microbes around me in my immediate vicinity, and also with many other people that are in this class. And it's really cool. Sometimes people will say, hey, Aurora, I felt you in my flying rainbow lasagna dance this morning. Like, that is awesome. It's like we're starting to create these real bridges of telepathy that are made on real bridges of love. And it's communication beyond the vagaries of technology. Like, I'm pointing at my little tablet right now. We right now use technology to be able to communicate across vast differences of, distances rather, of time and space. Like, if I want to talk to someone in the future, I got to record my thing and send it to them in the future. Or if I want to talk to someone who's in Australia, Patricia's saying even words, exactly, I got to put my information on a video and then send it in a link to them on a video to Australia. But we can also talk to each other directly through flying rainbow lasagna, through our genetic dance. This is what we're actually intended to do. So no, we were never intended, like, if I wanted to call someone, I have to pick up a phone and pay my bill and call you and talk with you with flapping of moving mouth parts. And Patricia was just saying words as being a type of virus, the language of virus, like a software virus that we are all using, like the Tower of Babel. We have to use this in order to talk to one another, but it was not our intention. So when we are truly telepathic, we don't speak with words. That's a big one, big takeaway. If you're experiencing synthetic telepathy, magical headbands that augment people's verbalized mind, you'll hear verbalizations. And a lot of it is pure crap, and a lot of it is malevolent. Some of them are mundane, some of them are supernatural, but they're all malevolent controllers that want to tell, maybe they'll try to tell you, like, I'm God, listen to me. God doesn't speak in English words. Like, ascended masters, gods, all these beings, they don't speak in words. They speak in images like this, or musical tones, or abstractions, or insight beyond words. This is our area of insight. We don't use words to communicate at this level. So if you've ever been in like maybe you've taken a hallucinogen or something like that, words don't work, but you're still thinking and you're still conscious and you're still able to share ideas. It's actually moving at a much faster rate than words can possibly move at. So yeah, all of these forms of technology, that is not how we are originally designed to communicate. We're originally designed to communicate genetics to genetics, genes to genes, and that it's also non-local. Like, you can speak with other beings that are far distant, like your genes can connect with someone's genes or DNA. Your DNA dance can affect someone who's in Russia, or who's in Antarctica, or who's on another planet, or who's in another galaxy. Like, it doesn't matter how far away they are in a linear sense of measuring with a ruler or miles. What matters is that you are connected through consciousness. So that's the big takeaway. When I do flying rainbow lasagna, I connect with beings from deep antiquity. Ancient Mayans, I connect with them all the time. I connect with microbes. I connect with little tiny gopher-like rodents that were around at the time of the dinosaurs. I connect with descendants that haven't even been born yet. And I connect with the other musicians that are here in this time and place. And here's a big thing about interdimensional ethics. I don't tell other people what notes to play. Like, let me just also move my lamp, because now the sun has gone down and our lighting has all changed here. Everybody's got their own unique genetic code. Just like you've got your own unique fingerprint, you have your own unique genetic code, and I need to tell you about encryption too. It's not right for me to tell you what to play with your instrument. There is a great composer that wrote the notes that you're supposed to play, and there's a great conductor that tells you, here's the tempo, here's the tempo, here's the tempo, now play. And when the great composer and conductor tells you to play and what to play, they're telling you how to be alive. They told you how to gestate in the womb. They told you how to get born. They told you, how do you move your arms and legs to walk in the world? How do you chew up food and swallow it into your tummy and digest it? All of that is unique to you. It would not be right for me to say, you have to do it in Aurora's way. That would not be great. And that would also be like maniacal, control mechanism of like, I'm not a super control freak. I'm not like that. I'm much more of an artist of freedom, and I'm interested in having everyone else be free also. That's why I teach this, and it's why I share it instead of keeping it something that's a secret only for me, and it's why I teach it in this way. So I'm not being coy. If someone says, what exactly do I do? And I tell you, like, I can't tell you exactly what to do. You have to do it for yourself. I'm not being coy. I'm being truthful. So someone also recently messaged me, and she said, hey, should I try to start doing flying rainbow lasagna dance while I'm doing belly dancing? And I said, yes, you should. Like, I don't know how to do belly dancing. That's not a part of my background or my culture or my expertise. But that's why this other person is in existence on the planet, because she's supposed to do flying rainbow lasagna belly dancing, or whatever is your unique flavor. You are supposed to add it. That's innovation. So it's a much stronger system in terms of superseding the artificial intelligence, machine-based logic system that's often not logical at all. It's our creativity. We are much stronger. We are embodied creative beings with creative life force energy. We can innovate. We're like jazz musicians. And so this flying rainbow lasagna is a little bit of a screw you, badass rock and roll attitude towards the overlords of humanity that want to keep you like a domesticated servant, like a slave that cannot think for itself, like an easily controlled and heavily predictable, bot, like a robot or something like that. You're much, much more than that. And so this is the way to add more variables to the equation. Every time you add another variable, because this is like pressing the big red button of infinite improbability. I like that movie, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Press the big red button, the infinite improbability drive, and then anything can happen. This rearranges reality into this level and into this format where anything can happen. Anything like spontaneous remission of profound diseases and moving towards profound levels of health and vitality, that can happen. What people would consider to be a miracle or something unimaginable, that can literally happen. Same thing in terms of miracles of healing our society and our ecology of our planet. Those miracles can happen. So here's another beautiful example. So someone asked me about, should I flying rainbows on your belly dance? Yes, you should. And then you should, share that impact with the world. Someone else asked me about the company called Alcoa. I don't know about Alcoa. Literally, I'm from another world. I don't know everything about this world. It's like if you're from the United States and you visit Thailand, like, you don't know everything about Thailand. So I don't know that Alcoa needed healing, but she was telling me that the aluminum company had created all sorts of profound pollution and birth defects from people that lived near it, and that she wanted to flying rainbow lasagna to clean up their company and clean up the birth defects that were the result. And I said, that's awesome, do it. It's like each person, you know the notes that you want to play. You know the painting that you want to make. I'm not the person that is supposed to be telling you what to play or what to paint. You are definitely, you in conjunction with your connection to the divine, you with the sun, you with the stars, you with the earth, you get your own innate directives. And I'm getting to the questions, I promise. I have to talk about encryption because that's the other thing. So often I say to people, one of the things that I do before I get going on the flying rainbow lasagna is to encrypt my DNA. What does that look like and how do I do it is what people ask. So what it looks like to me is I envision that literally the surface of my being is crawling with an ever-changing series of letters and numbers and symbols. Just like if I'm putting in a password for my whatever, my social media or my email or something like that, I'm the only person that knows that password. I'm the person that created it. I'm the only person that knows it. Or if I use my thumbprint, I have to press my thumb on my little pad over here so that it will open up. And that's like saying no one else can get inside of my computer unless they're me. No one else should be allowed to get inside of your genetic computer unless they're you. How do you encrypt? So at a certain point, I recognize for me to just say, oh, you just encrypt your DNA is not enough. It's not just an intellectual exercise, and I have no idea how to describe it in physical words. So what I did was, in meditation, I created like a telepathic package of images and feelings of a template for how you do it. And I stored it like on the Dropbox, the download of the telepathic realm, so that anybody who wants to can go up there and get that information. And it's not like if you download this, then I'm in control of your DNA at all. No, you create your own personal encryption for your DNA. This is just like the recipe for how I did mine. I did mine by doing this. You can do yours by doing something similar. So you can go and get this telepathic package from my telepathic Dropbox. Aurora, how do I find your telepathic Dropbox? You tune into my energetic signature. So you can do that in a variety of different ways. You can envision my face, but you can also envision my paintings, or the feeling that you get from my paintings, or the flying rainbow lasagna as a symbol of who I am. Like, how would you tell that it was actually me on the other end of the phone? You'd feel it. How would you tell it was actually me writing a note to you? You'd feel it. How would you be able to tell the emotional tone of what I was saying and the words that I was writing to you if you didn't hear my actual physical voice? You'd feel it. That's energetic signature. So we do this telepathic communication on a bridge of love. How do you know who to call? You use their energetic signature. It's how you would recognize me even if you didn't see my face. And then you're like, okay, I want to tune into Aurora. I want to find that encryption package. And then you figure out how to make your own DNA encrypted. And I also use the example, it's like if I'm an artist in my studio and I paint a beautiful oil painting, whatever, some roses in a vase, you know, on a tablecloth. And then I'm like, that's beautiful. I put down my paintbrush and walk away. No one else should be allowed to come into my studio and take a rag with turpentine and smear my beautiful painting and change it. This is what's been happening for millennia on this planet. Humans use their imagination, their innate creative capacity to imagine something, like paint a painting of reality. And then this hijacker, this malevolent AI system and these demonic occupiers of the interstices come along and they hijack your creative energy and smear your painting and make it look like something ugly. And this is like, you know, the monkey's paw. Like you wish for blah, 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 but instead you get blah, 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 which is not exactly what you wished for. It's like a cruelly ironic, diminished version of what you actually wished for. That is not what's supposed to happen. So it's like in your studio, you paint a beautiful painting. You want to let the painting dry so that you can show it to the world. Lock it. Lock your door so that no one else can come in there with their rag of turpentine and change your image and make it look different. And I can tell you all sorts of funny stories, funny anecdotes of how when I've been learning how to use my Merkaba and learning how to manifest with Flying Rainbow Lasagna, I sent out very, very clear images and requests in partnership with the cosmos, and then saw how it was, it manifested in diminished and cruelly ironic, distorted fashion. And I had to be like, that is not what is supposed to be going on. So that's why I've had to learn. Lock your studio, encrypt your DNA, and all of these things are words that I'm telling you, but that I have set up a whole non-verbal information pamphlet that you can read in order to figure out exactly how to do it. So encrypt your DNA and also performing the Merkaba. What is the Merkaba? And I'm going to have to do more of this on a different day because I'm definitely, let me just check my time here. Sorry, I'm looking away from you guys. Just check my time. I'm almost at the end of my recording. So I have to tell you more about the Merkaba specifically on a different day. But the Merkaba is a star tetrahedron. So this is a tetrahedron. It is a four-sided pyramid. Look, all of these pyramids all of these sides are the same. It is an equilateral triangle and made out of all 60-degree angles. So we have two of these equilateral pyramid tetrahedra, and they are overlapping. And let me get this perfectly right there. Basically, it's a star tetrahedron. This is what the Merkaba is. And the basics of this, and I said I will get into this more on a subsequent recording, this can be used as an energetic immune system, just like your physical immune system blocks out the pathogens that you don't want, but allows in beneficial microbes to live inside of your body. This does the same thing with your non-physical energy structure. So it's like saying, I put up a protective shield around me that prevents malevolent consciousnesses from coming inside and affecting me or infecting me, but that still allows in beneficial energy to come inside of me. So this is a protective envelope. It's also a wish-making machine, and it's also a tool for interdimensional travel. But all those subsequent things I'll get more into on a later, because I want to get into the actual how do you dance like a flying rainbow lasagna. So I put on awesome music after having eaten my good food, after having done wonderful good sungazing. I put on awesome music on my headphones that makes me feel like badass and rock and roll. And then the first thing I do is the Merkaba. So that's my little symbol. And now it's like I do it very quickly, just like you can tie your shoes very quickly when you're an adult. It took you a long time when you were a little toddler. You had to focus, like, I have to put this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and then do this. But now that you're an adult, you can tie your shoes that quickly. For me, that is like tying my shoes. I've practiced this so much that it comes very quickly and I don't have to focus on it a lot. But when I first started focusing on it, it took a lot of practice and I had a lot of those experiences of diminished, ironically distorted feedback coming like, whatever. Like if you wish for a pile of money to just fall in your lap, you can get a pile of money to just fall in your lap, but a lot of the time it's like not money that you can actually spend. It's not actually your money. That happened to me, like a literal suitcase of cash, but it wasn't money that I could actually spend. It was money that had to be returned to someone else. Like it was just for safekeeping. That's just one example of it. It's like cruel irony. Like that's a suitcase full of cash, but it's not mine. I can't spend it. It actually kind of endangers me. You get the idea. Cruelly ironic and distorted. But now I don't get that as much because now I'm an adult and I know how to tie my shoes a lot better. So I do the Merkaba to protect me. And I encrypt my DNA, meaning that no one else can come along and take my intentions and subvert them and use it towards something malevolent. And then I do the dance. And the dance, it's just like if you're doing a regular dance, you're like, I move my left foot, I move my right foot, I do this. Or if you're trying to learn an instrument, you're like, I move my pinky, I move my thumb. Now I do this, now I press this pedal over here. When you first start off, it might feel very clunky. But don't just focus on the mechanics of it. Focus on the feeling. Like when I'm playing a song on my piano, I know that I'm doing really well when I'm feeling it. I'm like, that feels like the song. That's exactly how it's supposed to feel. So focus more on the feeling and not too much on the mechanics. The mechanics will catch up as you practice. Also, start off with basic melodies. So this up, down. This is like one of the basic beats. Up, down, up, down. It's one of the basic beats. And there's an eight-part beat on here because we've got 8 flanges. We'll count around on the flanges here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this isn't jumping up and down motion. Now we'll do it up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got it? And this is happening on an internal genetic level. We're doing this jumping. So our genes are doing stuff all the time that we're not necessarily consciously aware of or consciously in control of. This is about becoming consciously aware of and in control of the dance movements of your DNA. So we understood from level 1 that you're constantly rolling, unrolling, splicing, twisting, morphing, do-si-doing. You're constantly doing that just as part of the natural life cycle of being alive and having DNA. When we start to do flying rainbow lasagna, we can begin to use that motion intentionally to create or affect reality. So before I do my flying rainbow lasagna, a lot of the time, like, I read the news, I look on Twitter, I'm like, this world is so effed up. Look at that thing over there. That's not supposed to be like that. I used to just get mad and yell at the screen, like, that shouldn't be that. I'm very like, that should not be that way. No, naughty, naughty. But instead of just telling the world that they're naughty, you can actually do something about it. This is empowerment. This is understanding that your mind, your consciousness, your spirit, and your body, your DNA and your physical body are the instruments that we use to create and affect reality. You don't just have to be a passive observer. You don't just have to be like, oh yeah, the government is totally screwed up. Those people are losers. You can actually flying rainbow lasagna with the government itself, with the concept of government, with your local or federal government, with actual participants in the government, and make it less screwed up. And there's, I have specific personal examples that I've done with this, where I then you go into the world and see the actual results. So it's like, also when I go into the flying rainbow lasagna state of mind, first of all, it's easy and fun. This is a big thing. Just like when you're playing music, when you're good at it, it's easy and fun. You're like, this is awesome. I could do this all day. The flying rainbow lasagna is the easiest part of my day. The hard part of my day is when I have to like do my banking, do my taxes, like follow phone prompts and talk to operators on the phone and get them to fill out my forms properly. That part is hard. This is also a superseding of my little ego. Like Aurora is my ego. It's like this is my dress that I wear. This is who I am in this level of reality. However, when I do flying rainbow lasagna, I become more than merely Aurora. I become Aurora connected to all the microbes, connected to all the redwood trees, connected to the entire planet, connected to all the stars, connected to everyone else that's here. And definitely Patricia's saying we can pepper it throughout the day. Definitely, you can spontaneously flying rainbow lasagna anytime. I do it when I'm sitting in traffic. I do it when I'm in the grocery store. I told you that this is going beyond your limitations of your ego, vibrating the membrane of your ego so that you are now connected with your context. And when you do that, you dilate your personality. It's not just about what's good for you. It's not just about what's good for little old me, Aurora. It's what is also good for the microbes. What is also good for all of the fungi and mushrooms on the planet? What is good for all of the beings that live in the ocean? What is good for all of the molecules of water? We identify with a grander version of self and then do what is right for that grander version of self. And this is also how I can speak to the question of, well, Aurora, if you're all flying rainbow lasagna, like, why don't you have a golden toilet? Why don't you live in a special mansion? And the answer is because I'm not so self-centered that I want to give myself a golden mansion at the expense of the microbes. What if it was like, oh yeah, Aurora, you can start some blah, blah factory and you can have all sorts of money, but you're going to kill all these microbes and kill all these trees and distort the time field in this way and this way. That's not abundance to me. That's not success to me. Success to me is not if I get to play my instrument really, really loudly at the expense of other beautiful musicians in the world. To me, real success is harmony, like harmonics, when my voice and my instrument fits perfectly with all of the other humans, blue whales, redwood trees, and everyone else that is here. And we all make this amazing, beautiful music. So that's my answer. I don't just focus when I do this dance on my own personal fulfillment as Aurora, even though I incorporate that, but I also focus on what is right for the entire time field, the entire higher metabolic entity. We're in such complex levels of interdependence with that version of self that we're dilated to a grand scale, that you got to do what's good for the whole, not just what's good for you as a little individual. But when you do what's good for the whole, it reflects back to you as an individual. So I get out of my ego. It's like if I take off my dress at the end of the day, it's like, oh, like that's comfortable. Now I don't have to wear that tight constricting dress anymore. It's like when I get out of my ego, I'm like, that's so comfortable. I don't have to just be that little limited person anymore. I can be all of this other stuff too. So I get beyond my ego, and all the concerns that I have as an ego structure are part of the dance. If I'm like, I read something about how screwed up our government is in the morning, and then I start doing my flying rainbow lasagna dance, of course, part of what my dance is finding a solution. This is all about making solutions, innovations, being a jazz musician, coming up with new combinations of ideas and energy and events that can solve problems, instead of just having to swim around and say, oh, our world is fucked up. Oh, pardon my French. Oh, everything is so wrong. Oh, there's no anything. This is the solution. And I don't dictate to you what are the solutions for the things that you are an expert at. Like if you know all about the company named Alcoa, then you know what needs to be fixed. Or anyone there. People, I'm so gratified that I have people that tune into my videos that are from literally all these different countries. Someone who lives in Thailand is an expert at what they need in their particular locality in order to fix and heal what's in their world. And same thing with the person that's in South Africa. Like everybody is an expert at their own locality, at their own culture, and at their own life. I wouldn't pretend to dictate to you what dance movements you should do. I will simply be an example of what I do. So that's what I do in the telepathic realm. So, and what does it feel like? What does it look like? Okay, what does it feel like? What does it look like? It's not just flying blind. I have inner vision. I'm not the only person that has inner vision. We all have it, and you can cultivate it so that it gets even clearer. So that's another one of the takeaways. Don't focus so much on the dance steps, focus on the feelings. And even if you don't see clearly right away, the more that you do this, the more that you will see clearly. Your vision will clarify as you keep going. So just like when you're learning how to dance, like first you bop along, get the beat, you get the beat, you get the beat, and you look at how other people are dancing, and then you kind of like feel your feet, feel how you can move, feel how you can do it. So also you get to do rough sketches of reality. You can say that to the cosmos. You can say, I'm not an expert yet. Let's not do this all in an indelible ink yet. Let's just use our mind to think about possibilities of the future like a rough pencil sketch. And then just like how I do work in my studio, I stand back and I look at it. I'm like, I just drew a pencil sketch. How does that look? That part is totally wrong. That needs to be erased. That part looks good. Let's put ink on top of that part. And this is how you do it. Flying rainbow lasagna is cumulative over time. I've been doing this for 17 years. So that's also what I can say to people. Don't be frustrated. Let me drink water. If you first get started, drink water. If you first get started and reality does not immediately fall to your beck and call, it's not because reality is broken or because this is a lie or anything like that. It's because it takes time to become a virtuoso. So I'm not just patting myself on the back, but I've been doing this for 17 years. So I'm definitely very experienced at being able to do this, and I've been able to refine it. So at this point, I've gotten good at being able to do it. So what does it feel like? What does it look like? When I do this dance, I'm getting beyond my personal ego and I'm seeing all of these patterns internally. And I recently saw this wonderful video that was kind of like a virtual reality immersive video game where this person, it looked like they were like looking down a tunnel and these different shapes were coming at them and they had like, you know, different lightsabers. They had to do different things to the different shapes to get points in the video game. That is exactly what it looks like to me. It looks like I'm looking down a tunnel. I'm looking down the time tunnel and different events and shapes and combinations of reality are coming towards me. And I do this dance with my physical body and my physical hands, but the more important thing is that I'm doing it with my consciousness body, with my non-physical body or my body of pure light or of the body that we will all inhabit when we no longer have physical bodies. That pure consciousness-based body is, we're in like a virtual reality, but it's not something that is made by Facebook or with electrons flowing in a wire. It's true consciousness in like a higher dimensional reality. I just need to drink more water here. Pardon me. I literally see the time field. And all of this, it's like if you've ever had to do martial arts. I'm not a martial artist, but some of them, they're going so fast that it's like you don't think. You don't think, oh, block here, punch here, kick here. You do it in almost like an instinctive or intuitive way. So all of these possibilities and abstractions are coming at me from all different directions, and I do this dance in response to all of those possibilities. So when you first begin, don't worry about responding intuitively in the more like a martial artist to all these, you know, very fast things that are going on. Because one of the first things that I do is I just set the beat to all the microbes and all the everything. I'm like, first, you guys hold the beat. You go up and down. You go up and down like this. And then maybe I'll say to the trees, like, hey, trees, like, you keep this part of the melody going. You just play these basic notes or these basic chords. And then to the next organism, I'll say, hey, you guys do this part. You guys do this part. You guys do this part. So it's like we're getting the band going. I love the music of John Coltrane. I feel he's a total genius. And what he would do is he would get the bass and the drums and the piano to hold down the basics of what the melody was. And then Coltrane was a complete genius. He was unfettered in his, connection to just pure music. Then he would riff around on all the jazz. They would keep the basic beat, the basic melody of what's going on. And then he would, with the saxophone, create all sorts of new innovative patterns. And he never played the songs the same way twice. Like the band might keep the basic melody pretty much the same, but in every performance he would innovate something new, something new, something new. This is what I do, and this is what I encourage everyone to do when you reach, greater levels of mastery. First, begin with just keeping the beat and just keeping do the basic first motions and figure out all of that and figure out the dance motions and figure out what it feels like and cultivate being able to actually see it. And then when you start to get bored with that, just like in making my paintings, the first couple of years that I did these paintings, I just did the same patterns over and over and I mastered them. It's like figuring out recipes. Then when I had mastered those recipes, I'm like, I'm bored with this. I want to find out what happens if I add strawberries to this recipe. What happens if I add blueberries? What happens if I add this? What happens if I add this? That's how these levels of complexity happened. So just start off with the basic recipes first. And then when you get bored, then you begin to innovate. Then you begin to jazz around. And if you ever feel like, wow, I'm already bored, jazz around, do it. And because you shouldn't feel afraid to use your own powers of innovation. So the basics of these dance movements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is like the 2 top diagonals, 7, and then 8, 8. And I'll draw it also so that you can understand this is all superimposed on top of each other. And I promised you I will get to those comments and questions, and I'm totally truthful. I'm not a liar. So the first one is the up down, right? The very crudely drawn flying rainbow lasagna. There's an up down. Now let's superimpose that with the side side. Ooh, here's a blue lasagna that's going side to side, right? Ooh, now let's draw the next one. In and out. Look, we're looking at it head. So wait, we did up, down, side, side. Now we're doing in and out. Now we're looking at the lasagna as if it's around like this with the hole in the middle. In and out. And now get a different color, side, side. So here's a diagonal lasagna over this way. I know this is now a very, very messy sketch. And then another, we'll get a different color, another diagonal lasagna going this way. that is a whole lot of everything. Like you can hardly even see the complexity of what's going on there, but you understand it's all of those things all happening at once. All of this is a tool for freedom to supersede the genetic limitations that were the genetic squashing. What happened to humanity way back 10 or 20,000 years ago with the fall from consciousness, the fall from grace, the fall of Atlantis, the diminishing of humanity and the disconnection of humanity from our birthright, being connected to the divine. So this is reconnecting to the divine and reweaving your DNA into a new format. And each one of you get to be the musician, the jazz musician, the John Coltrane. You get to be the artist of your reality. I won't tell you what notes to play. You are a jazz musician. You will figure it out as you go, and you get better the more that you practice. I do different songs for different occasions. Sometimes it's Swan Lake, like beautiful, lovely, soaring music. Sometimes it might be Rage Against the Machine. It all depends on what is needed in that day, and it's good to switch it up. Be unpredictable. So this is a tool for unpredictability. It's the infinite improbability drive. This is like rearranging the Rubik's Cube of reality, changing everything around. We're rearranging the events that are on the skin of the torus, rearranging events in reality so that now the puzzle pieces fit together in a new way. And every time, this is what I was saying about a lateral hierarchy. So mostly we are familiar with social hierarchies that are a pyramid. There's one leader at the top, one king or one queen or one president that then tells everyone else what to do. But that's a very, very limited hierarchy if that's your only songwriter. And what if your only songwriter gets a cold or the flu and they're stuck in bed? And it's like, oops, sorry, we can't write any new songs for a week because our songwriter has the flu. That's not a very powerful, well-designed system. A well-designed system is a lateral hierarchy where there are many, many leaders, where there are many, many innovators, like a band where there are many songwriters. And if one of your songwriters is out with the flu, it doesn't mean you can't innovate new music. It means someone else can do it. This is the type of hierarchy that I am promoting and that I am a part of. And this is what the stellar network is like. The idea that, I'm one node, like one processing point, one, point, one epicenter. And there are many epicenters. There are many stars in the sky, billions, a lot. And there are many songwriters, innovators with your mind. And that each person is supposed to be a songwriter because we need your music. We need that person to heal Alcoa. We need that person to dance like Flying Rainbow Lasagna with belly dance. We need each of you to take your own genetic potential and, amplify it and magnify it. And for each one of you to turn into the greatest version of who you can be, the greatest version of vitality in your body. Like everybody needs to be as healthy as an Olympic athlete. And a genius. Every one of us needs to be as smart of a genius as like Tesla or whatever, whomever is a great innovator and a wonderful jazz musician. And that's our birthright. That's who we're supposed to be. Okay. And after I do my Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, it could be 5 minutes if I only have 5 minutes. It could be an hour if I have plenty of sunlight and enough time. And I also get pretty hungry doing it because it uses up a ton of energy. Come on, Cheeky, come on up. We're almost done. Come on up. Come on up. You can do it. Oh, wonderful. Then after I finish up, I forgot to tell you, Cheeky's part of it. She sits on my lap every day when we do this dance. Thank you, guys. She sits on my lap every day, and she does the dance too. So animals are part of it. Cheeky's totally part of it, adding to the joy. Like there are sometimes when I'm feeling a little dragging, I'm like, oh, it's hard to dance today. And she's like total external battery pack. She's like, let's do it. Let's do the dance. I'm like, okay, let's do the dance. And then after the dance, I notice Cheeky is always like vibrating. It's like her ears are like vibrating with electricity. I just have to let her kiss me. Oh, okay, thank you. She's vibrating with electricity. What we do is we go outside and sit on the ground for a moment, ground to the earth, because doing this dance, it's like flying. It's like flying through the sky. And we get tons and tons and tons of energy. And I always find it very uplifting. Like even if I start out in a poopy mood, I end up feeling hugely inspired and invigorated and much better afterwards. That's also how you can tell if you're doing it right. Cheeky is vibrating with energy at the end of this. And then what we always do is we go outside and we ground to the earth. So I either sit on the ground or put my feet on the ground, or Cheeky needs to like sit her little butt on the ground so that all that excess can go to the earth so that you are not overloaded. Like, you got to have the ground your plug in order to make sure that you're not overloading your circuit. So we always do that. So now let me check out. I know that I say I'm good to talk to the chat, and then I always forget to talk to the chat. Thank you, Cheeky. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Questions. So Patricia says, our body is the instrument and our life is the song. That is exactly accurate, perfectly put. And that each person is playing their unique song, and that your instrument is unique to you. And all of our dogs and cats, they're part of this symphony of life, and we're so interactive with them. I'm so lucky I get all this. Okay, let me just talk a little bit now. So Pedro is saying, he was asking about the angle of the angle of the sun. He says, if the angle is not right, can I use a mirror to get the sun's rays where I sit? Absolutely, you can. Do whatever you need to do in order to get access to the physical light. But remember, you are connecting mostly on a non-physical level with your inner eye, not just your physical eye. And Pedro is also saying, so many things I'm doing wrong. I feel like a baby trying to use a spoon to feed myself, and I end up with food all over my face. That is exactly what we are. We are babies of consciousness. So don't be self-conscious. Babies get food on their face and get food down the front and poop their pants. It's part of learning. It's part of growing. So we are absolutely loved by our cosmic parents. They're like, look, the babies are trying to do their little dance. Yes, we are like little baby sea turtles also. We've just hatched, drinking water here. We've just hatched from our eggs of consciousness, right? We are now trying to make it across the beach to get to the ocean of consciousness and grow into adulthood. So when we see those little baby sea turtles, we're like, go sea turtles, go, fly free. And that's what these higher levels of consciousness feel about us when they see our efforts. So don't feel self-conscious at being a little infant of consciousness. Don't feel, like you're doing it wrong or like you're not allowed. You're allowed to make mistakes, and you're allowed to poop your pants, and you're allowed to figure it out as you go. Grace asks, would you say that the types of intelligence you are talking about, connecting to the source on the cellular level healing, is similar to the experience one may experience during a properly guided ayahuasca ceremony? Do you have an experience with this tool? Excellent question. I do not personally take ayahuasca. I have to protect my brain because I have, the previous occupant died of a brain injury, and I'm dealing with seizures as an artifact, like an after effect of that experience that killed the previous occupant. So I have to be really careful. Like I can't have caffeine or any of the things that stimulate things in the brain. So I don't take it myself. However, when people come into my studio and look at my artwork, a lot of the time they say, that's exactly what I saw on ayahuasca, or when I took LSD, or when I took psilocybin mushrooms. So I understand that those are like an augmentation to be able to look at and use the telescope to get time on the inner telescope and see these things. So yeah, I would definitely caution, if anybody's going to take any kind of hallucinogen, to do it in the right context and do it as a spiritual event, and to do all the fasting and purification that you're supposed to do, and to have really good protectors and guides. It's not something for the discotheque. Like, don't just take a bunch of LSD and go to a discotheque and think that you're going to have a higher dimensional experience. I think that's really misguided, and that there are a lot of people that do stuff like that, and it just opens them up to a lot of malevolent distortions, like it's like getting in your car and driving to a bad neighborhood. Like, you're not going to meet really great intellectuals and have great insights by driving to the worst neighborhood. Like, you're going to get robbed and beaten and have your car stolen if you drive to bad neighborhoods. So make sure that you learn how to use your vehicle, like your vehicle for inner travel. That's what going on these hallucinogenic journeys are. And also, I think that the molecules themselves, the hallucinogens, can be very difficult on the physical body. Like, you can't take ayahuasca every day. Like, it's not practical. I think it would, not be good for your cellular structure. So there are things to do, like maybe as like when you go on a vacation, you have like a special experience. You don't do it every day. So I would say it's something to be done, and treat it like a very special spiritual experience. Don't take LSD every day. Don't try to take it every day. It's not practical in that way. And that what we're supposed to do eventually is reach those inner heights of consciousness simply through self-cultivation, without having to take an actual molecule. just like we're all moving towards being light eaters. We don't have to drink a physical banana smoothie. We get to use our mind completely, or our perception, our connection to energy completely. That is how I'm also seeing the use of molecules or hallucinogens. You know, ayahuasca and DMT, that is all it's endogenous, it's in your body already. You have that already as part of your pineal gland. So having to take it externally from the environment around you is a little bit of like augmentation, but it's something that, you know, if it benefits you, then that's really good. But it's not something that I can do personally, but I have had interactions with people that they confirm. It's like they say like, oh, that's familiar. I see what that is. I'm like, yep, because you saw the same things, because it's a real place. It's not a made up place. That's one of the big things that science tries to tell people. You know, regular neuroscience says, oh, those are just your, you know, like if your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, it just makes up stories and, you know, projects it flashing lights, and it's all nonsense and gobbledygook. That's amazing, because that gobbledygook inside of me looks exactly like the gobbledygook inside of you. So maybe it's not random and arbitrary. Maybe it's actually highly structured, and maybe we all contain within us these amazing, you know, structured truths of the cosmos. Maybe it's not random and arbitrary at all. That's a can of worms that, you know, traditional neuroscience up until this point is not even ready to talk about. So I respect very much that people have their own, like your body is your laboratory. You're allowed to experiment with your body. You can take whatever substances you want to, pharmaceutical or hallucinogenic or whatever, and see what it makes you feel like. But I don't necessarily advocate for that. But it's each person's personal journey. I'm remembering, actually, as I'm saying this, total non sequitur, but one of the things I wanted to make very clear from last week's level 2 recording, and I know this is like buried here at the end of this level 2, when I was saying, oh, reaching that ascension timeline, and what some people might require in order, as like their magical integument, to believe that they have left one level of reality and go into another level of reality, a magical doorway or magical healing chamber, or an elixir, or whatever it is that you're eating. Some people reflected back to me that they felt that they were like concerned that I was advocating. I'm not advocating for any of those things. I was using them as an example of, I was at this level, now I'm at this level. What were the steps that led me to that different level? And different people have different cultural heritages. So from one world, from one cultural heritage, a person might say, oh, I drank a magic elixir, and that's what brought me to that new level of consciousness. Or what some people might say is, I got on a magic carpet and flew to a different place. Or what some people might say is, I went onto a UFO and that flew to another place. I think I've been very clear and very consistent in what I speak about, that I don't advocate anything like getting into a clank mental spaceship or any form of physical technology. I keep on saying, all you need is your birthday suit. You don't need an external, a technological thing, magical elixir, or even a molecule. You don't have to take an external molecule, that it's really all about what we have internally. So that was a big thing I wanted to clarify from last week. Don't be concerned. It's not like I've suddenly become distorted and I'm saying to everyone, oh yeah, you can just do escapism and your UFO take me away and you can get on a UFO and that's how you ascend. It's not actually what I was saying. What I was saying is that ascension is a personal, individual experience that each person goes through based on their cultural filter. So if you're heavy in the Christian cosmology, like biblical Christian approach to life, you might have a Christian flavored experience. Or if you're into the UFO community, you might have a UFO flavored experience, or whatever is your cultural background. That might be the narrative story that you make to describe how I went from this level of consciousness to this level of consciousness. However, I'm not advocating for any of those particular things. Like, I'm not saying that you should get on board or imagine getting on board a spaceship or imagine an elixir or imagine a healing, but that's examples of what some people would imagine, and that what really each person should write their own narrative structure and go in the direction that they want to go in. Thank you, Sarah Jane. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Okay. Patricia made a very good point. She said we can pepper it throughout the day. That was in talking about flying rainbow lasagna. Yes, I have a practice, just like if you have a yoga practice. You can be like, from this time of day to this time of day, half an hour every day, I do this yoga practice, and that's what I do. But also, you might want to stretch out your legs or do some yoga poses during the middle of the day, dependent upon what your body feels. So I do that all the time. Sometimes literally I'm driving down the road and I might have something on my car music, my car stereo, a good song comes on, and I'm like, I'm driving down the road and I'm flying rainbow lasagna with all the trees on the side of the road, or with other people, or with, other concepts. Like whenever that feeling comes up, you can respect that feeling and you can weave it into your daily experience. I told you I do it in the grocery store. I also sing when they play good music in the grocery store too. All of this is like, don't be socially constrained. Don't be so concerned about appearing socially appropriate that you are not able to be true to your own inner dance. Do your inner dance anyway. All right, and here's a question. Another question has come up. Ben says, Aurora, this has been awesome. Your presence is so encouraging. It is a complete joy to be here with you. Big hugs all around. Big hugs right back to you. I'm very happy. Thank you for, that is what the band is all about. You know you're doing it right when you feel like this is freaking awesome. Like we are rocking. The band is tight. We are rocking. I call it the cosmic dance party. And that's what this is. That's what we're really feeling. So as we're experiencing this transformation of consciousness, we're getting to a new level of reality. What is it going to feel like? It's not going to feel like, like tiredness, being tired, being choreful, drudgery, negativity, anxiety. That's the world that we're coming out of. The world that we are creating now with our beautiful music is a fun, I want to say freaking fun. It's a freaking fun dance party. Like the most free that you can be, and connecting lovingly with all of these other wonderful musicians of consciousness that are also having a wonderful dance party. And the dance involves life on this planet and life in very divergent realms too, like other galaxies, other planets, other times and places. We are all part of this party. That's the amazing thing that starts to happen. It's like it starts to get really fun. And this is why I keep giving people encouragement. Like, keep going. We're running this marathon. It's very grueling at times. Keep going, because we're just now starting to get to the part where it starts to get to be fun. Let me see what people are saying here. Brandon says, our 8-year-old son, Weston, says, hello, Aurora. He is sending love right back to you. And that is also awesome. You're never too young to flying rainbow lasagna. Little baby infants that are on earth right now can be total virtuosos. They can be genetic virtuosos. Just because they are wearing diapers does not mean that they are not really connected to the cosmic dance party. A lot of them are awesome dancers. So yeah, flying rainbow lasagna is for young people too. That is fantastic. Thank you. She says, thank you so much. Such an obvious reflection of light and gratitude can be felt as you speak. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that very much. And that is with all of this, we're in this world that is very challenging. And there are many imposters, and there are many people that will say, I'm blah, 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 but they're really blah, blah, blah. Like, you can tell, you have taste buds. You can tell what's good food from what's not good food. So thank you for eating my lasagna. I put good ingredients into my lasagna, so it's delicious for everyone. Thank you, very wonderful. Thank you very much. And Joelle is saying, it feels more right than any form of love in this world. That is very beautiful. Grace says, I'm so glad my dad introduced me to you. I most definitely look forward to remembering more with you. Thank you, Grace. So, okay, if you're not currently on the webinar email list, you can send me your email, or I also have a Facebook notifications list. And this is for anyone who's on this webinar right now, or anyone who watches the recorded archive. Yes, I love for people to, come on board, jump on board, so that way you'll get notifications, you get all the archives, and that's what this is all about. And also, like, when you're, here, when we're doing this live sharing of information, then you can share ideas to me and reflect things back to me, and I can tell you, it's much more interactive. It's really quite wonderful. It's very good. Infinity Cell, lovely to hear you. Indeed, the shared consciousness field of love is palpable. That's what this is all about, and it only grows more and more. That's the whole idea, is that this is the vessel or the spaceship that we fly on. We don't fly on a clank clank metal spaceship. We fly on a ship that is made of love, like the bridge of love, that we connect as organisms, and consciousness and shared ideas. That I would say we're already on board. Like I was clarifying, Joelle says FRL is alive. Yes, that is absolutely truthful. That is truthful. This is an alive thing, just like the time field is an alive, living presence. And I like to tell people, like, we're already on board. It's not like you have to get on board of a special spaceship. We're already on board, and our bodies are the ship. We are the vessel. We're like all learning how to connect together effectively in order to make this migration of consciousness, this I think like a soul migration getting from one level of consciousness to the next one. So yeah, we could all do it individually, like you're playing your own music and your own band and your own, like, you know, a one-man band in your own garage. You can do that, but that's not as much fun as what if you actually play with other musicians, and then what if they're actually good? And what if they actually have really good ideas, and then you share your really good ideas with them? Then everything becomes way more fun. And what if it's not just us in this time and place? What if it's also us as excellent virtuoso musicians sharing our ideas and connecting with other organisms from deep antiquity, organisms from the future, places, non-local consciousness that is even in different places. Thank you very much, Patricia. So guys, what I have to do is complete this recording because my upload time is going to be very long. If there's any other questions or comments that I can speak to while it's still on the recording, I'm happy to do so. If not, let me end the recording. Say thank you so much to everyone who tunes in, to everyone who shares this video, because my videos do tend to get a little bit suppressed. You know, there's like all this technological suppression and everything like that. So I appreciate it very much when you share these videos with other people. And thank you to the ones who have been supporting me through Patreon and through other contributions. You absolutely are appreciated. You absolutely are essential. You help me keep my electrons flowing in a wire so that I can keep on sending out this energy. And that's also part of this interconnectedness, that not only are we not swimming around in a vacuum, but we're not in competition with each other as organisms. We are totally interconnected and interdependent upon one another for our uplift, for our continued metabolism, for being able to keep on going through life. That's what my consciousness collective is like, that we all feed and uplift each other and keep each other going, just like the cells in my body all support one another and keep them going. We're in a body. We are in a body that we are interacting with and helping one another with. Pedro says the FRL dance is the same as the vibration of the toroid. It is like the vibration of a hypertoroid. So if we take that torus yellow sculpture and we make it vibrate in a higher dimensional format, that is how this turns into this. So it takes a little bit of time in order to master that, in order to figure it out and embody it on every level. But it's okay to like do your best, and it's not like you'll ever be kicked. You're not going to get kicked off the team because you're not an instant expert. Infinity Cells has been, that is a fundamental reality. That is the dream. That is very beautiful. So let me just say thank you to everyone who's been a viewer and who is a supporter. I'm just going to end the recording for right now. Please, if you're interested in being on any of my notification lists, just send me your email or connect with me on Facebook, and that way you'll get all the fresh hot lasagna when it first comes out of the oven. And I'm just going to end the recording for right now. Thank you very much.